Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Business Talks. I am your host. Hold on for a second. I am your host, Chawanne Burns, and we are going to get into it. We have a lot of things that I want to discuss today. We're going to talk about Russell Brand and his looming charges of assault. Some people are saying it's a witch hunt because he has amassed a following on all platforms, literally, and he's pretty independent. He really doesn't need mainstream media to build his wealth, or he is very independent. And he's anti-establishment. Anti-vaccine, anti-establishment. He is anti-WEF. So some people think it's a witch hunt. Whether or not, if you believe it's a witch hunt, I have my own opinions. We will get into it of what they're talking about with his charges today. Also, we're going to discuss Lauren Boebert. She's a representative in Colorado where she was kicked out of a theater, a play, for getting a little bit frisky. And of course, the media is saying that she was acting inappropriately, and that's why she was kicked out. I don't know. We got the video of it. You guys let me know your opinion. I don't feel one way or another. I think it's certain decorums you should present yourself if you are a state representative. And also, let's talk about her relationship with this guy. And she's a conservative, a Republican, and still married. But this wasn't her husband. But I guess her and her husband filed for a divorce. But is this inappropriate? Okay, so we'll discuss about that. Then much more on today's episode of Business Talk. So let me share with you this message from Russell Brand, and then we'll get to what the news media is talking about. Okay, so this is a message from Russell Brand. Let me just share my screen with you. And of course, like any sane person will deny it. I don't know if these allegations are true. I know this guy, he admitted to being very sexually promiscuous, sexually promiscuous. That's a double negative. But he admitted being promiscuous, and he's also a recovering addict. So does that have anything to do with it? I don't put, just because you use drugs, that don't mean you're go around sexual assaulting people. Now, is he an asshole? We could say Russell Brand probably is an asshole based off of some of his stand up, and because he's a comedian. He's known for his comedic stand up. Okay, and that's just who he is. Now, can you see this? Okay, yeah, so you can see this. So let's take a listen to what Russell Brand have to say to us.
Channel where we critique. Hello there, you Awakening Wonders. Now, this isn't the usual type of video we make on this channel where we critique, attack, and undermine the news in all its corruption, because in this story, I am the news. I've received two extremely disturbing letters, or a letter and an email, one from a mainstream media TV company, one from a newspaper, listing a litany of extremely egregious and aggressive attacks, as well as some pretty stupid stuff, like my community festival should be stopped, that I shouldn't be able to attack mainstream media narratives on this channel. But amidst this litany of astonishing, rather baroque attacks are some very serious allegations that I absolutely refute. These allegations pertain to the time when I was working in the mainstream, when I was in the newspapers all the time, when I was in the movies, and as I've written about extensively in my books, I was very, very promiscuous. Now, during that time of promiscuity, the relationships I had were absolutely always consensual. I was always transparent about that then, almost too transparent. And I'm being transparent about it now as well. And to see that transparency metastasized into something criminal that I absolutely deny makes me question, is there another agenda at play? Particularly when we've seen coordinated media attacks before, like with Joe Rogan when he dared to take a medicine that the mainstream media didn't approve of. And we saw a spate of headlines from media outlets across the world using the same language. I'm aware that you guys have been saying in the comments for a while, watch out, Russell, they're coming for you, you're getting too close to the truth. Russell Brand did not kill himself. I know that a year ago there was a spate of articles, Russell Brand's a conspiracy theorist, Russell Brand's right wing. I'm aware of news media making phone calls, sending letters to people I know for ages and ages. It's been clear to me, or at least it feels to me, like there's a serious and concerted agenda to control these kind of spaces and these kind of voices. And I mean my voice along with your voice. I don't mind them using my books and my stand-up to talk about my promiscuous consensual conduct in the past. What I seriously refute are these very, very serious criminal allegations. Also, it's worth mentioning that there are witnesses whose evidence directly contradicts the narratives that these two mainstream media outlets are trying to construct, apparently in what seems to me to be a coordinated attack.
So we'll go into what mainstream media that he's referring to, and then we'll talk about the victims that came forward. But this was back in believe in 2000, between the span of 2004 and 2000. I think the lady said 2013. So over a span of 10 years, and it was 4 ladies that came forward regarding his sexual deviance towards them.
Now, I don't want to get into this any further because of the serious nature of the allegations, but I feel like I'm being attacked, and plainly they are working very closely together. We are obviously going to look into this matter because it's very, very serious. In the meantime, I want you to stay close, stay awake, but more important than any of that, if you can, please stay free.
Okay, so that's what he sent out on Friday evening. So, of course, like I said, if someone accused you of something, if it's egregious as an assault, you want to get it, put the lid on it. I can say that the media outlet, this is Sun Times in England. Let me share this post with you. I'm sorry, England, London. It's the Sun Times in London, and also the BBC also reported. But the story broke. It was the Sun Times. Okay, share this. Okay, and it's saying that the actor Russell Brand was accused of the R word, sexual assault and emotional abuse during the 7-year period at the height of his fame. Now, Russell Brand, I said 2004, but it was between 2006 and 2013. Russell Brand is very popular. He's the voice on Despicable Me. He's Dr. Nefario, Despicable Me 1 and Despicable Me 2. He was on the episode of Big Brother. He has extremely huge podcast on Stay Free with Russell Brand podcast, which he shows on the YouTube, which his following is about 6.5 million followers on YouTube. He has about 1.3 million followers on Rumble. Now, speaking of Rumble, you guys want to follow me on Rumble. Follow me on Rumble because, we're talking about being silenced. They already kicked me off. Not kicked me off on YouTube. I was demonetized on YouTube not too long ago, and I received a strike, not a copyright strike, but they said a community guideline strike. So when you talk about topics other what the mainstream media is trying to pump to you, like anti-trans, anti-trans with kids, um, very conservative commentary. And I don't think I'm that extreme on the conservatism. But anything against the mainstream media or going against the mainstream media, they're gonna, you know, put you out there and let you know who's in charge, especially YouTube. YouTube is essentially my employer if I get money from YouTube, right? So they'll, put they I guess they was trying to teach me a lesson. Hey, you can't talk about that. But ever since then, none of my videos have really gone viral. And if you look at like the rate of, they tell you, oh, you got to look at your metrics. If you look at my metrics, it seemed like it should go viral based off of the percentage of watch time and the click through rate, but it's still like not really. I haven't reached any point since that one video that went viral and they took it down. But anyway, so what I'm saying is follow me on Rumble. This is my channel. You can see my face up here because I'm talking, but I paused the live stream. Um, you could find me at Chawanne Burns, ChawanneB.com, or Rumble and just type in Chawanne B. But of course, I talk about business, credit, and politics. So make sure you follow me there. Anyway, so like I was saying, he has Russell Brand has quite a huge following on several platforms. So he's pretty independent, and you can't stop him from getting his message across. And people seem to like him. So these allegations, they were saying that Sunday, the Times and Channel 4 dispatches, 4 women are alleging sexual assault between 2006 and 2013. And of course, Brand denied these allegations. He is saying, hey, I know I was something, I like to get my thing out, but I always had consensual stuff. So that's what he's saying. And it's saying during the years covered by the allegations, Brand had various high profile jobs at different times, including BBC, Radio 2, Channel 4, and as an actor in Hollywood films. And he's been in several films. We know that. He's been the voiceover for several really popular cartoon movies or Pixar movies. So we know Russell Brand is very popular. And this investigation was published in Sunday Times. One thing I want to document, this is England. England, you know how England, what they do is it's a story. They're doing journalism, as they call it. But they dogged, what is the guy's name? The guy who played the pirate. Forget the guy's slipping my mind. But the girl that accused him of being she accused him of sexual, so they was married. Man, why can't I think of the guy's name? He played the Pirates of the Caribbean. You guys know who I'm talking about. Somebody put it in the chat. Somebody put it in the chat. Johnny Depp. Yes, thank you, Rum Runner. See, like my brain is like not there. But Johnny Depp, they dogged him out. And as a matter of fact, over in England or wherever he was at, he was living over there, and they dogged him out. And the evidence against him, I think he ended up losing the case in England, but when they came over here for that defamation case, because he sued her saying you're lying about all these accounts, his ex-wife, and he ended up winning. So she was responsible for paying, I think the settlement was $10 million or something like that. And of course, him being the nice guy, he didn't even make her pay it, because she was claiming, oh, I'm so broke, blah, blah, blah. But clearly on the stand, you could see she was a liar and a manipulator. So, like I was saying, these are, so we really can't say the news report is correct or they're being open and honest. Okay, so within hours of the allegation published, Brand performed a scheduled comedy gig at the 2,000 capacity. I guess it was in Troubadour Wembley Park Theatre in Northwest London. It was part of his current tour. During a set, which lasted about an hour, Brand alluded to the accusations but did not address them directly. He told the audience that there were things that he wanted to talk about, but he couldn't. Okay, so Brand, he's going about his daily business. He's really not letting it affect him. I'm pretty sure if these allegations aren't true, I'm pretty sure it does affect your psyche, you know. And then you think about, okay, I was taking drugs, maybe, I just can't imagine what he's thinking in his head because he said he was a drug addict, So if this is the time he was doing drugs or using drugs or maybe drunk, we don't know. But none of these ladies said he was drunk. It was just all at his home. So one of the women alleges that Brand, you know, committed assault to her against the wall in his home. And this was in his Los Angeles home. Now, this is where I don't believe the story. This is why I don't believe the story. She was treated at the crisis center on the same day. The Times says it has seen medical records to support this. Why is this man, if this is true, why is this man locked up behind bars? You just can't go to a crisis center and say, hey, I've been a victim of X, Y, and Z. And they don't report to the cops. They just treat you anonymously. You think it will be their responsibility to report it to the authorities, but they didn't. And especially if this guy is a famous person. So this is where I just like, okay, so she was treated, but we still did not report this, and no one did the duty to report this. Now, the second woman said when he was in his 30s, she was 16, still at school. She alleges he referred to her as the child during an emotionally abusive and controlling relationship. Okay, so this sound like this. Now, this is in Los Angeles, you guys. So she was 16, he was 30. How did that happen? Because it's Los Angeles. So this is an inappropriate relationship with the age, but you're saying, okay, so he was emotionally abusive and controlling relationship. And that's what men really do if they want to date a 16-year-old, they try to control. Duh. You guys put it in chat. Do you know any grown man dating a 16-year-old, a 30-year-old dating a 16-year-old, and you won't describe that, oh, I got to get them young because, of course, I need to be able to, control the stuff that she doing. That's just the classic whatever. So is 16 a age in California? Is that consensual? I'm not for sure. Is that one of those does what's the statutory limit for adult and child relationship? And if you brand is saying, oh, this was all consensual, did you know this little girl was 16? Now I will have to question that about brand. Okay, so the first one, I'm not for sure about that. The second one, yeah, you got some explaining to do, because why would you get involved with a 16-year-old? So maybe he would say, "Oh, I didn't know she was 16." Maybe. But she said I was still at school. I was still at school or I was still in school. I'm not for sure why would they write it that way. Did it happen in school or at the school? So anyway, but she claims that this was an abusive relationship. And then the third woman claimed that Brand assaulted her while she was working with him in LA, and he threatened to take legal action if she told anyone else about her allegations. So that's weird, to me. You're saying you're going to take legal actions on me, but you're the one who assaulted me. So kind of unclear of what type of legal actions would you take if I say you did this to me? Because if it actually happened, what do you do? Now, we can't say, oh, Brand is more powerful than these ladies, so that's why they never came forward. So that's believable. And then we can say most victims of an assault, they don't tell nobody, and they rarely tell. It rarely gets reported. We could say that. So we know that to be true too. But are these allegations true and real? Can we really believe that? And then the fourth woman alleged being sexually assaulted by Brand and him being physically and emotionally abusive towards her. Now, I don't know if this woman, okay, you're saying he assaulted you, but then you say he's being physically, emotionally abusive towards her. Were you guys in a relationship? So this was kind of odd the way they put that too. Okay, he assaulted me. Why would you put physically and emotionally? Duh. That's what a R person do. A RS do. I mean, so why are you putting that? So this is what I see as a woman. This is what I see as a woman. Not to say these encounters or encounters are false or these allegations are false, but we got to remember, Me Too moment. We can't say Russell Brand is guilty. We can't do that. We can't just jump off the bridge and say, yeah, crucify him, hang him. Because a lot of people in the Me Too movement said, oh, I had to sleep with him if I wanted the part. Well, hell, you didn't need the part then. Hey, if you want this part, you better give me some booty. And you decide to give you the booty and you got the part. So it was a fair exchange. This is just from my perspective. So can you meet to that? You got a financial gain and a leg up in your career because you exchanged favors. Who said you was the top talent? You think you was the top talent, but maybe they called you back and said, oh, she looked like she'll give up some booty. Let me help her out. But in order for me to help you out, you got to give me some booty. Is that right? No, it's not right. But you they had the upper hand. You shouldn't have to sleep your way up to the top. No, you shouldn't have to sleep your way up to the top. That's why you got to have some type of, hey, where are you going to draw the line in the sand? Yesterday we just discussed, or not yesterday, but the couple of days ago. Was it yesterday or a couple of days ago? We just discussed Sukiani, the girl that was twerking her body on the VMA red carpet. She was gyrating and stuff. She had a video back in 2019 saying she sold her soul to the devil just to get in the rap game. She sold her soul to the devil. And she was up there crying, saying, I don't know how I'm going to get out this deal. I sold my soul. That's what she literally said. I sold my soul to the devil. So we could say, okay, if I got to give my body up to get this movie part or whatever they experienced there, I don't know if they exchanged favors. Is it really worth it? And then you come back and say, oh, he did the same thing to me, he should be under the jail. Yeah, he used his power to have relationship with you, but you literally agreed to this shit. So you are even worse than that person. You wanted power so much or fame so much, you're gonna give your body to a person. And sometimes that's why we need to stay diligent and keep ourselves close to God, because sometimes it's not worth it. Hollywood is not worth, or the fame is not worth it. You selling your soul to your devil or giving a piece of yourself to this sleazeball of a person. So, like I said, we don't want to quick to judge, or I don't want to be quick to judge Russell Brand. Maybe it's the allegations is true, or maybe it's false. But so they're saying that, of course, he released a video denying the accounts. Let's go to some of your comments. Susie says, sounds like gaslighting. You tell young victim they'll be in trouble if they tell anyone of the abuse. I don't know if the allegations are true, but if they are, he sounds like a POS taking advantage. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Susie. A guy that's taking advantage of his status, and of course, hey, I'm going to tell you, if you go to whoever, I'm going to, call my lawyers on you and sue you for what in that case, because you probably at bottom of the totem pole compared to him, but he probably can't ruin somebody's career. Robert Jordan says Harvey Weinstein. Is Russell Brand Harvey Weinstein? Is he Harvey Weinstein 2.0? Well, he won't be 2.0. He probably Harvey Weinstein. They only got 4 people. Harvey had like 30 people. Harvey had 30 people that came. I know it was like really crazy. But like I said, some ladies, you can't just say me too and say, hey, we believe these accounts without really seeing the evidence, and we can't believe the mainstream media really, because it could be one of those things where they just try to attack him. Now, do we believe this is the same with Donald Trump, that lady that sued him? Now, he didn't get criminal charges against him, but she claimed Donald Trump assaulted her years ago, and she ended up suing him. And he tried to countersue her for like a defamation, and they either he lost or they threw the court case out. Now, in those instances, can you say that do you believe the victim or not? Because it happened so many years ago. That doesn't make it not true. But some people will say it's just a coordinated attack on Donald Trump. So, like I said, Can we believe the news media? And I'm not saying he's not guilty, but really, can we really believe these people? After his profile surge, Brand was cast in Hollywood films such as Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Get Him to the Greek, and The Author. The woman who said she was 16 when she met Brand told the Times she took her allegation to his literary agent, Angard Wood, the co-founder of Tavistock Wood, owned by Curtis Brown in 2020. Tavistock Wood told the BBC Russell Brand categorically and vehemently denied the allegations made in 2020, but we now believe we were horribly misled by him. Tavistock Wood has terminated all professionals' ties to Brand. So he was dropped. So he's already been Me Too'd because they dropped him from his agent dropped him. His agent dropped him. So, and they're saying Channel 4 is a parallel to learn of these deeply troubling allegations, including behavior alleged to have taken place on programs made for Channel 4 between 2004 and 2017. We are determined to understand the full nature of what went on. We have carried out extensive document searches and found no evidence to suggest that these allegation incidents were brought to the attentions of Channel. So they're saying that he was acting up on Channel 4 but nobody ever made a report about it. And they're saying they're going to still investigate. And another thing, so these claims, like the woman that was working at the radio or station or the channel station with him. Now, are you an employee of Russell Brand or are you an employee of Channel 4? If you're an employee of Channel 4 and you made some allegations that this guy did something to you, to human resources, wouldn't they have information about that? And wouldn't they be liable for, hey, you employed this son of a gun, and I kept on telling you that he's treating me in a manner that I do not like to be treated, and you still kept him on. So, but they're saying that no one ever reported that. So maybe they're lying or maybe they're washing their hands of it. I'm not for sure. Another woman alleged to the newspaper that she would repeatedly told Brand to get off her during one sexual assault, and that when he eventually relented, he flipped and was super angry. A different woman claimed that Brand pushed her up against the wall and did it without a condom. She alleged Brand tried to stop her leaving until she told him she was going to the bathroom. She said, I ran out and I jumped in my car, and thank God I didn't park in his driveway and booked it out of there, she said. So these are all accounts of their assault. Now, let's see what Twitter is saying about this. I saved some of these tweets. Now, this Tara Bull girl, she's very conservative. She got about 500,000 followers. She is saying, where were these wild allegations against Russell Brand before he took a stand against the establishment? They did the same thing to Elon Musk when he bought Twitter and promised free speech. Thread below. And then so she put up the president accused of affair in 2016. Joe Rogan talks about ivermectin. And Spotify threatens to cancel his podcast. Media pushes to deplatform him in favor of the vaccine, which Fauci now admits causes myocarditis. In 2022, Elon Musk says he will buy Twitter for free speech is accused of sexual misconduct. I didn't know Elon was accused of sexual misconduct. Russel Brand gets sober, gets out of Hollywood, starts a family, and begins to speak out against vaccine establishment, gets accused of assault from 2006. Anytime someone stands up, they use the establishment media in an attempt to control or cancel them. Notice a pattern. And someone tweeted, obviously, they're trying to attack him because he's exposing the truth. And this is the accuser. It's saying 5 women share their stories with C4 Dispatches in a joint investigation with the Times. Russel Brand in plain sight tonight on Channel 4. Let me see if they're... Okay, let's take a look at this.
Sex offender.
I like them blowjobs, right, where it goes in there.
I phoned and somebody asked what it was regarding, and I said, that's regarding Russel Brand being a sex offender.
I like them blowjobs, right, where it goes in their neck a little bit. I would never suggest it. I'm not suggesting it. It's their idea.
I was like, oh my God, he raped me.
Welcome to Big Brother's E-Forum. I'm Russel Brand.
I'm telling him to get off me, and he won't get off. He was having a show, and it was his very first one in Hollywood, Brand X. There was an after party, and he literally made a beeline for me and said, I want to meet you. I did go around to his place, and we did have sex. He's like, do you want to use a condom or not use a condom? And I'm like, no, absolutely, we're using a condom. And he did respect my wishes then.
I had a friend that worked in the Leicester Square building that housed MTV. I was coming out of that studio and Russell was coming in. I'd just been to Topshop. He took the shopping bags from my hands and picked a dress out and he said, okay, you're going to wear that on a date with me. I didn't look like a woman by any means. I was a child that had got dressed up for dinner. I liked him and I felt a bit giddy. I felt special. Russell engaged in the behaviors of a groomer. Looking back on it, I didn't even know what that was then or what that looked like. He would try to drive a wedge between me and my parents, taught me to lie to them. Things took a slightly darker turn. I was sat up in the bed up against the headboard and he forced his penis down my throat and I couldn't breathe. It was just choking me and I couldn't breathe. I was pushing him away, and he wasn't he wasn't backing off at all. And so I ended up having to punch him really hard in the stomach to get him off. And then he fell backwards, and I was crying, and he said, "Oh, I only want to see your mascara run anyway."
Them blowjobs where mascara runs a little bit.
I think he was very skillful in the start from making his identity be, I'm the womanizer, I'm a sex addict, I'm inappropriate, but it's all just a joke, it's funny.
Good.
It's, you know, it's a smoke screen for a lot more of his dark behavior.
So yeah, so that's, I guess that's like the synopsis of the documentary that's coming out. It's kind of, I think it's kind of odd that they are putting a documentary out before any charges are coming or being brought. You think they will have some type of legal investigation before this is out in the public? You guys put it in the chat, because I think that's kind of odd too. You know, you want to tell this story, but you say, me, if I was a reporter, I would ask, okay, did you go to the cops? No, we didn't go to the, or I didn't go to the cops. Would you like to go to the cops? No, I just want to post this story. You see, so that's what one thing is odd. I'm not trying to say that he didn't do this stuff, but you think that you will go to the cops, you know, before you say, oh, I want to publish a documentary about it. That's, to me, that's kind of crazy. And then you want to remain anonymous. So you want to remain anonymous, but you still want to be on this documentary. And now, if you're anonymous, Russell Brand can't say, oh, yeah, I remember this girl, blah, 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 because you're anonymous. You know, so he can't really have any defense against these ladies, because he don't really know who they are, who's saying these things. But his only defense is to not deny everything. Anywho, so that was the documentary. Now, going back to Twitter, or some of the documentary. Let's see what my bookmarks. Okay, so this is, like I said, Russell Brand is a comedian. Now, this is on one of the shows that he was talking about his assistant. And they said this is a trigger warning. I don't think it's a trigger warning. I think back then it was more acceptable for you to talk about women that you didn't know, even though, like I said, it was more acceptable, but women didn't like it. We just laughed it off, I guess.
It'd be very nice to meet you one day, Mr. Jimmy Savile, just, you know.
If you've got a sister, you could meet me by bringing her along.
I mean, I haven't got any sisters,
I
but...
don't usually meet fellas, but if you've got a sister, that's okay.
I've got a personal assistant called and part of her job description is that anyone I demand she greets, meets, massages, she has to do it. She's very attractive, Jimmy.
Well, that's a good start.
What kind of
start? You could send her along to do some research.
Would you like her to wear anything in particular, Sir Jimmy?
I'd actually prefer her to wear nothing.
Right. So you want my assistant to meet you naked? Okay. Well, that's not going to be a problem. It'd be very nice to meet you one day, Mr. Jimmy Savile. Just you know.
If you've got a sister.
This guy that posted it, he said, "Trigger warning: Russell Brand talking about Jimmy Savile." On radio TV and offering him a woman who worked as brand assistant. Now, is this behavior appropriate? No. But does that mean it means he's a pig for sure, but does that mean he goes around sexually assaulting people? I'm not for sure. Because just because you say some pretty raunchy, nasty stuff, that doesn't mean you are those guys. Now, I would like to see you just don't start doing this just because. Like before Russell Brand got famous, I would like to know what was he like before he got famous. Was he actually going around forcing himself on people? And then I would also like to know what was his relationship. You know, he was married to Katy Perry. What was his relationship with Katy Perry? Because those are telltale signs if you are an abuser or not, because your past relationships with your significant other. Now, this is Alex Jones on Russell Brand allegation. Let's listen to what he's talking about. And of course, I believe Alex Jones is going to say, oh, we don't believe him. We don't believe these allegations.
The Matrix is coming after Russell Brand. Anybody that challenges the globalists, anybody that challenges Big Pharma, anybody that's popular, that comes out against the establishment is going to be accused of assaulting women. Now, if you're Jeffrey Epstein's client list, that's as secret as what happened to JFK and the CIA. I know Russell Brand personally. I knew him back when he was married to Katy Perry. He's come on the show a few times. We've hung out some in Austin. I've never seen women throw themselves at anybody like with him. And I mean, I've seen the old footage of Elvis with women pulling their panties off, throwing at him. It's like that, okay? At restaurants, at one of his events I went to, it was literally women jumping at us, okay? And he's a big guy in person. No one ever accused him for the last 15 years of assault. They say he's a big sweetheart. And now because he comes out against Big Pharma, he comes out against the globalists, he comes out against the New World Order, suddenly the allegations are happening to him. They've had PIs out trying to get women to lie about me for years, but they haven't found a woman to do it yet. Because there haven't been many women. Not like Russell Brand. This guy's a beast. He's like Errol Flynn. So that's incoming because they want to punish people and destroy people that decide to stand with humanity. I stand with Russell Brand. He's completely innocent. That's why we have a statute of limitations so people 10 years later can't make stuff up when you're ultra famous. They're doing it to everybody. They're doing it to Andrew Tate. They're trying to do it to Elon Musk. They're trying to do it to me. They're trying to do it to Paul Watson. They're trying to do it to anybody that stands up to them. But we know who the real predators are. That's the globalists starting World War III with open borders and massive human smuggling. So as for me and my family, we're going to continue to tell the truth. As for InfoWars, we're going to continue to tell the truth. And people have to realize this is a pattern here. Anybody challenges the New World Order, they come out and say you're a sexual assaulter.
Now, is that true? Anybody challenge the New World Order, they say you a sexual assaulter. I guess for the men. What about the women? Now, you know, Candace Owens, she was just recently on Russell Brand podcast about a couple of days ago. It was like 2 days ago that she was on their podcast. I don't know what they were talking about. Probably, you know, typical stuff, coronavirus, probably Ukraine and stuff like that. Typical, probably political stuff. I do want to highlight this tweet. This is from my Twitch. J Idiox. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but that's phonetically, that's what it looks like. Jay says, Russell Brand isn't the first liberal feminist who's hypocritical. Look at Harvey Weinstein. Do you think Russell Brand is really a liberal? I think he's, well, I guess you could say he's liberal, but I think he's real more anti-establishment. I'm not for sure how liberal he is though. But he's probably more in the middle, if anything. Now, go back to Alex Jones. Alex Jones is basically saying you can't really believe the Matrix. The Matrix is going to come up against you because you're going against the grain. You're going against the New World Order. You're standing up against what they're trying to push in the mainstream media or what they're trying to accomplish. Okay, so if you're too smart and you call them out on the BS, they're going to come for you. They're going to come for you, and then most likely, if you are a man, if you're going to be ostracized, and they're going to paint you as a sexual deviant person. Now, can we say that for other people like Harvey Weinstein? Harvey Weinstein, he and the guy that killed, well, offed himself in the prison, Epstein's, Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Cosby. They said Bill Cosby was accused, he had victims, as many people came up against him, but the statute of limitation didn't care about him because these were things that occurred, they said 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago with Bill Cosby. And he's out now, I believe, but they still locked him up. But they said that, these conspiracy theorists, I call them conspiracy theorists because, okay, you can't believe all these women because why didn't you come forward years ago? It's because he tried to buy a news network, and they tried, since he had enough money, they had to say, oh no, a black man can't own, I think it was NBC News, NBC network. Oh no, we can't, let this black man buy this network. So we got to make sure he knows his place. So you guys put it in chat. Do you believe that kind of thing? Or do you believe Bill Cosby was responsible for all the charges that he was accused of and convicted of? Like I said, I find it kind of odd, and I believe somebody put it up here, that they probably had to run it by his lawyers before they released the documentary. He's like a socialist, but pretty populist. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay. Matt Torrance says one of the Brett Kavanaugh accusers admitted later that she never met him. Stay tuned. That's what I'm saying. Like, we can't just jump the gun. We can't just say, oh, he's guilty because he's a man. And then you can't jump and say, oh, he's not guilty because he's a man, right? Oh, he's popular. He's talking against the he's anti-establishment. He's not guilty. So we can't just do that. So let's go back to Twitter and see what else they're talking Okay, so this is him with is this Bill Maher? Oh, let me click on it. And it says many are now saying that this video clip might be why Russell Brand is being attacked. Watch.
Yes.
Out of respect for you and your show, I've brought some facts. Would you? If you like, they're actually.
You just get the fuck out of here. This is not the place.
I thought you'd like facts.
We love facts. I love facts.
I wouldn't have mentioned it. I'm English, and you know that politeness is our fundamental religion.
Yeah.
But they do pertain to this issue, so may I say some of them?
Please,
if they
please
inconvenience
do.
you, I'll stop saying them. The pandemic created at least 40 new big pharma billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer made $1,000 of profit every second from the COVID-19 vaccine. More than two-thirds of Congress received campaign funding from pharmaceutical companies in the 2020 election. Pfizer chairman Albert Bourla told Time magazine in July 2020 that his company was developing a COVID vaccine for the good of humanity, not for money. And of course, Pfizer made $100 billion in profit in 2022. And may I just mention, finally, and this is also a fact, that you, the American public, funded the development of that. The German public funded the BioNTech vaccine. When it came to the profits, they took the profits. When it came to the funding, you paid for the funding. All I'm querying is this.
Yes.
Is if you have an economic system in which pharmaceutical companies benefit hugely from medical emergencies, where a military-industrial complex benefits from war, where energy companies benefit from energy crises, you are going to generate states of perpetual crisis, where the interests of ordinary people separate from the interests of the elite.
They're saying, well, this one guy is saying, Simon Atepa, he's an African journalist. He's saying this might be the real reason why he is under attack. This happened, when was this? I'm not for sure. Let me see. When was Russell? That was April the 2nd of 2023. So that's when he was on the show. Or maybe it was March the 4th. But anyway, that was March the 4th. So I guess, can we believe that too? That's another conspiracy, you know, because he called out Big Pharma on the COVID vaccine. You know, if you anti-COVID vaccine, I mean, all they had to do was take them off of YouTube. YouTube and shine, you know, you talk about vaccine, YouTube will put their or whatever platform you are. They put a placard up, COVID vaccine, and they will talk about, they'll put a link under your whatever. And so you could actually link to, you know, the Center of Disease and Control, so CDC. And then they'll give vaccine information about whatever. So is this like, okay, a conspiracy theory? Because like I said, Russell Brand is anti-establishment. He talks about the government and the World Health Organization all the time. So can we say that this is one of those times that these are lies? I'm not for sure. I really can't say. Some of the stuff doesn't make sense, but what makes sense these days? Okay, so I'm not going to be quick to judge him. I know Candace Owens was on his platform. I think it was a couple of days ago. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, 3 days ago. And they were talking about censorship and independent media. Let me share this tab with you.
So lacquered.
3 days ago, Candace Owens, he put Candace Owens versus Russell Brand. They talked about politics, censorship, and independent media. And I guess they were talking about Bill Gates and bioengineering. I'm just reading the comments. So is this part of a coordinated attack? Is the Matrix after Russell Brand? Somebody put it in the chat. The Matrix. Stevie said a lot of conspiracy theorists are as big as narcissists as Hollywood celebrities. They love making themselves the main character. Like, yeah, they got this grandiose scheme. Like, yeah, have you ever talked, this especially back in the day. If you from the hood, you know what I'm talking about. Whatever, Lil Pookie got his little drug side hustle, and they'll tell you, oh, you can't talk too much on the phone. Yeah, I'll talk to you when I see you. Like, who the hell you think that's listening to your small wrinkle-dink drug operation? Nobody's tapping your phone. Oh, the feds is watching. Watching what? You sell nickel bags. Nobody watching you. K Noir, thank you. But yeah, nobody's watching. Nobody's listening to you. So why are you making you like you the main character of this global operation? Anyway. There is no Matrix. It's just there is no spoon. That Brandy said there is no Matrix, just like there is no spoon. Okay, I get you. So you want to take the red pill or the blue pill? I don't know. Like I think there is a higher up that keeps you from doing certain things. I think the more influence you have, I would say they try to push your button. Now, can we say Russell Brand amassed that much influence? 6.5 million followers. I guess if a friend tells a friend, like, hey, follow this guy, does he get people to do things? Is he a Donald Trump? Is he a Donald Trump? I don't think so. I think people follow Russell Brand because he's entertaining. He's not like the leader of the free world. Now, maybe people are listening to him because they want some type of information, maybe. But what type of information are they getting? Okay, if we talk about conspiracy theorists, we could say that he is a conspiracy theorist. But is he really a conspiracy theorist? Because he's talking about COVID and the government. And some of the stuff he is saying it is true. But has he amassed a following to say, hey, I can start a riot? Like Donald Trump. I think let's look at Donald Trump profile. He's never on Twitter. But if we look at Donald Trump, look how many followers Donald Trump got. We could say 150 million people vote. That's eligible to vote, probably half of the population. We could say about 200. This dude got 87.3 million followers on Twitter. So is he a Donald Trump? Do we need to be looking out and saying, hey, they're about to assassinate Russell Brand? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think, like I said, I think he's more for entertainment purposes. People probably take him seriously because of his work in anti-drugs, anti-alcoholism, because he came from that. His work in charities and stuff like that, because he came from that. But he's not a Donald Trump now. So when Randy Matthews, he said there is no matrix. Well, for Russell Brand, it might not be a matrix, but for Donald Trump, there might be a matrix because he's very powerful. He can move mountains. Donald Trump. Donald Trump probably could start his own army if he wanted to. If you really want to be evil about it, he could start his own army. But Russell Brand is not that. What about Kanye West? Kanye West was running for president. Kanye West is really popular, and they said he was talking crazy and stuff. I used to be one of those people saying, oh, Kanye West is all the way out there. But when you listen to Kanye West, he starts to make sense. Can Kanye West start an army? Can he move mountains? I know if he gets more political, he can't make it to presidency, but he could move the vote because people listen to him. So anyway, Matt says, after April, I wouldn't be surprised if this was set in motion and beginning with contacting women from Brand's past. That's what, if you look at that perspective, yeah, it could be it takes a while to get people together, and you can't just come out with one accuser. If you really want to bring somebody down, you got to have many accusers. And they got at least about 5. 4 of them wanted to remain anonymous. And there you go. K. Newar said, I only like Kanye's music. You don't like his political influence. And Randy Matthews says, Ye is crazy. Yeah, he is. He talks out there, But I kind of understand where some of the stuff that to me, Kanye West talks in all these analogies and like, okay, just hone in, get to the point, because and that's what gets him in trouble. His mind is all the way out here. People are like down to earth, but he wants to talk out here, so that's why people don't understand him. But anyway, let me see if we have any more information about this, and then we're going to move forward. Oh, you know what? I did want to show you guys something. This is the Hodge twins. It ran across my feed. Let me see if they still got it up here. Okay, so this, now the Hodge twins put this up there. It says, does this sound like an AI generated voice? And it says, one woman alleges that Russel Brand are her against the wall in Los Angeles. She was treated at a crisis center on the same day, according to the medical records.
He pushed me up against the wall. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I have a friend here and I want you to come into the bedroom. I'm like, no, that's not happening. We're not doing that. And I tried to get away from him. I slipped away from the wall. I went to another wall that had a painting on it, a huge painting. My bag got actually stuck underneath that and it's still on my arm. And at this point, he's grabbing at my underwear, pulling it to the side. I'm telling him to get off me, and he won't get off. And he has that glazed look in his eye again. I was very distraught, trying to get out of the house with him being so much taller than me, like holding me up against the wall, pushing himself in me. I couldn't move. He finally comes and gets off of me, and I push him away. He blocks the door. He's like, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm not okay. Get away from me. And he's like, well, let's calm down. I ran out and I jumped in my car. I was in a daze.
Now, the Hodge twin says, does this sound like an AI generated voice? I'm not for sure. It does sound kind of robotic, but and you know, people are saying sounds like a bod I read, maybe a book I read, almost word for word. I'll find the book. OMG, total written script voice by AI. It does. It's too even keel. There's no enough emotion variation with you would expect a victim to have while offering her recollection of the encounter. They don't say the encounter, but I'm just not saying the R word. Sounds like an audiobook, not a woman that has been victimized. It's no deflections of a, you know how people, it's so interesting to me how people become experts. Now they're voice criminal analysts. It does sound like a bot, but and you know, when you think about something traumatic that happened to you, and if it was very traumatic, when you encounter or recollect that encounter, you do get emotional, and you think you be like, oh my God, yeah, he did this. And you would start crying or something. I don't know. But everybody's not the same. So it says, whatever it is, it sounds scripted. Sounds well rehearsed, no emotion in at all, very monotone. Sounds super fake and made up. Lover or victim has been completely muddled and mucked up, leaving people to question how and when consensual sex later becomes rape, or is just saying the word to medical staff automatically makes it so. Every one of us should know some ladies who leverage sex for some gain, career financial promotion, and weak men who can't resist take the bait and get their berries in the vice, all hinging on what she says. I don't know about that, Ron Bush. I think you could be true and false at the same time, what he's saying. I think you can, like I said, that Me Too. Oh, if you want to be in this movie, you got to give me some booty. Okay, I give you some booty. Oh, and then years later, oh, he took advantage of me because he said I couldn't be in the movie if I didn't give him no booty. But were you in the movie? Yeah, I was in the movie. In matter of fact, I ended up that boosted my career up. I was in all the Marvel films, and I did several movies. I get $10 million a film, So it's so what are we saying here? And I tweeted I would have cried retelling the graphic encounter of a sexual assault. That's what I tweeted. She seems, and somebody said she seems to lack emotions about what happened. And maybe some people are just numb to whatever they experience. You can't tell how a traumatized person should act. I mean, but like I said, I'm not going to make any judgment. But this is what people are saying. We got some people are on the rah rah shish kumbaya for Russell Brand. Some people don't like Russell Brand anyway. So, and especially the liberal media is eating it up, even though he's not a conservative or anything like that. So, what are we saying? Anyway, we're going to get to our next story. Our next story is about Lauren Boebert. She's a representative of Colorado. I wanted to talk about this because I don't think her story is really wild or anything like that. I think it's a lady that she is on a verge of divorcing her husband. They said her divorce should be finalized in the next month or so. And she went out on a date. She was trying to get her never mind, I was about to say something crazy. She was trying to get her Sukiyana on. Remember Sukiyana when she went to London, she was talking about she was trying to get her stuff scratched. So this is Lauren Boebert. Boebert, I think that's how you pronounce her name. You guys, she got in the screaming match with Marjorie Taylor Greene as well, just a couple of days ago. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this encounter that she went out on this date with the guy, and this guy and her were acting a damn fool in the theater. They were acting the fool in the theater. So, of course, MSNBC, I truly hate to have to deliver this news, but it appears Rep. Lauren Boebert of Colorado has not been honest with us. This is from Chris Hayes. Shares the real reason Boebert was kicked out the Beetlejuice play. And for some reason,
I truly hate to have to deliver this news.
They felt like this should be on MSNBC. Now, let me say this. This is a disclaimer. Well, not a disclaimer. I'm just going to say this. I feel if you are in a position of some type of political power or political, you represent your constituents, you do have to answer to the American people. In the American people which you serve. So district in Colorado, that's the people who she serves. So I do believe she should carry herself in such a manner where it's a respectable manner, where you shouldn't be called out on stuff like this. And another thing, you affiliate yourself with the Republican Party. Republicans are very conservative. So you should act in a conservative manner. Now, on the fact that she's going out on dates and her divorce is not finalized, well, she's really committing adultery. Am I right? So I think her being out on a date in public with a guy that's not her husband is not against the law, but I think it does kind of tarnish her image, whatever that is. I don't know what her image is, but whatever that is, it does look bad. Okay. So, but it's not against the law. It's not against the law. It used to be. It used to be she would have got stoned back in the day if she would have went out with a man other than her husband. Divorce and not having a divorce or whatever. It would have been against the law. But anyway, so this made it to the news, MSNBC, because they thought it was newsworthy.
News, but it appears that Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert of Colorado has not been honest with us. Not with the American people, not with her constituents in Colorado. She has lied about what happened to get her ejected from a recent performance of Beetlejuice the musical. Earlier in the week, we brought you this story, first reported by the folks over at the Denver Post. On Sunday evening, the Congresswoman and a male companion were escorted out of a downtown Denver theater, quote, accused by venue officials of vaping, singing, recording, and, quote, causing a disturbance during the performance. According to an usher quoted in the theater's incident report, the patrons said they would not leave. I told them I would be going to get the Denver police. They said, go get them. Now, the Congresswoman seriously downplayed the situation after this news broke, posting she, quote, pleads guilty to laughing and singing too loud, hand covering mouth emoji. Her campaign manager took it even further, confirming that he called the stunning and salacious rumors that Boebert is indeed a supporter of the performing arts gasp who enthusiastically enjoyed the performance. Well, thanks to the good folks at 9 News in Denver, we now have the security footage from inside that theater. Take a look at their investigation into what really happened.
Boebert. Say it 3 times and she appears in security video from a weekend performance of Beetlejuice, where the Congresswoman was kicked out of the theater for being disruptive. The DCPA says she was vaping. Boebert's team denied that, said the haze was from fog machines in the show. That claim goes up in smoke when you see the video. The pregnant woman sitting behind Boebert told the Denver Post she asked her to stop vaping, and Boebert refused. Her one-woman show continued, taking flash photos, raising her hands and dancing, often the only one clapping or standing up in the crowd. Boebert occasionally took a break from being disruptive to enjoy the company of her male companion. He briefly had a grasp on the situation before ushers returned and told Boebert she had to leave. The theater's incident report says Boebert pulled the "Don't you know who I am" card on the way out, giving theater employees the single-finger salute.
So,
I truly hate to have...
Is that a crime? Boebert was vaping. She was vaping next to, I don't know what she was vaping on. Was it, I guess in Colorado, weed is free or weed is legal. So if she was vaping, maybe she was vaping weed. People didn't like her vaping, so she should have said, hey, or she should have just stopped. You know, somebody confronts you, I don't want to be around your vape smoke. Don't vape around me. And I'm pretty sure they can't vape in closed areas. But anyway, so is this a crime that Boebert committed? Boebert went out on a date and she was getting frisky. Is it a crime? These politicians, K. Noor said these politicians need to be randomly drug tested. Shaking my head. Disorderly conduct. Yeah, it's disorderly conduct. She's out there, you know. I don't think it's a crime for, if it was a musical play, why is it a crime for her to sing during the musical? But hey, I didn't come to hear you to perform. You're in the audience. Can we hear the performance? So maybe she was just being a nuisance and they didn't like it. They didn't like her being a nuisance. Now, just a little bit about Lauren Boebert. She is 36, and you know she's a grandmother already. So Boebert, she has 4 kids, and her son knocked somebody up. Her 17-year-old son is now a father to a baby boy. In an interview about her spat with Marjorie Taylor Greene, she revealed Thursday that she had became a grandmother at 36. Now, between her and Marjorie Taylor Greene, the two MAGA darlings got into a tiff on the White House or on a House floor, with Greene calling Boebert a little Bia. And so she told Sean that I do not put my life on the line or my life on pause and leave my 4 boys and now my grandson to come here and just get in spats with people. I came here to legislate and to be effective for Coloradans who are suffering from Democratic policies. Marjorie is not my enemy. Joe Biden's policy, the Democrats, that is my enemy that I am combating right now. In March, Boebert revealed that her 17-year-old son, Tyler, had impregnated his girlfriend and they was expecting. Like I said, she's resembling all the traits of, okay, now you're going to be a divorcee. That's not really Republican. That's not really conservative. Y'all couldn't figure something out to work something out with that, your marriage, and you got 4 kids by this man. Then your son, what kind of parenting are you guys doing? You allow your son to get somebody pregnant at 17. I just don't understand that. That's not really conservative. Like what kind of life are you leading? And then you guys, I got one more for you. This lady, the guy that she went out on a date with, he's a damn Democrat. He's a Democrat. He's a bar owner of some pub, and they said he's a Democrat. I think it's buried in the story somewhere. But that's what this is it. So Lauren Boebert finally apologizes for her sleazy behavior. They got her kicked out of the Beetlejuice musical. Of all plays that you could get kicked out, you get kicked out on Beetlejuice. Oh, let's go see Beetlejuice. And that's like a movie that gets you going. Oh, yeah, I feel sexy. Let's go see Beetlejuice. But anyway, she probably was high. That's the problem. She probably was drinking and she probably was high. And she's blaming anxiety and her divorce as viewers slammed her over following footage. I'm laughing because it's just, of all stuff you can get caught up. Amari said, damn, she for the streets. K. Noir said, this politician little too ghetto for my liking. Exactly. Who nothing says hood like, hey, I'm a grandmama at 36. You a 36-year-old grandma. I can't stop from laughing. I'm crying. You a 36-year-old grandma and you out there getting aroused by Beetlejuice. You left your man, you got 4 kids by your man, you left him or y'all split. Then you went out on this date, that high and drunk, and out there fondling each other over Beetlejuice. And then your son, 17-year-old, gonna make a baby, contributing to this illegitimate society. Anyway, Matt Torrance says MSNBC is a joke. It is, because this really wasn't no news, but it's kind of funny. It's some funny news. Where am I at? Okay, so it says Republican firebrand Lauren Boebert has finally apologized for her sleazy behavior during a trip to see Beetlejuice the musical at the Denver theater. The representative, who became a grandma earlier this year, age 36, blamed her divorce and the anxiety of being out in public after she was caught heavy petting. What is that? With the Democrat boyfriend, Quinn Gallagher, waving her hand, singing loudly, using flash photography and vaping. And they said after she was ejected from the show, MSNBC already said this, she exclaimed, "Do you know who I am?" and gave the staff a finger. The past few days have been difficult and humbling, and I'm truly sorry, she wrote in a statement. There's no perfect blueprint for going through a public and difficult divorce, which over the past few months has made challenging personal time for me and my entire family. The controversial Congress member initially denied the claims, claimed that the vape smoke was actually from a fog machine, and issued a sarcastic statement playing down the anger. But she made a startling U-turn late Friday night, blaming her behavior on her public and difficult divorce. And this is her statement. The past few days have been difficult and humbling, and I'm sorry for the unwanted attention my Sunday evening in Denver has brought to the community. While none of my actions or words as a private citizen that night were no, you can't do that, Lauren. You're never a private citizen. You can't put on the representative cloth and say, hey, I'm a public citizen, and then take the cloth off at nighttime. That's not how this works. You are elected official, okay? So while none of my actions or words as a private citizen that night were intended to be malicious or meant to cause harm, the reality is they did, and I regret that. But you're not a private citizen. You're only a private citizen is when you're not reelected or you decide not to run again. There's no perfect blueprint for going through a public and difficult divorce, which over the past few months has has made for a challenging personal time for me and my entire family. I try to handle it with strength and grace as best as I can. But I simply fell short of my values on Sunday. That's unacceptable, and I'm sorry. Whether it was the excitement of seeing a much anticipated production or natural anxiety of being in a new environment, just keep it short. Don't make this long excuse of why you was vaping and smoking weed in public. Stop it. I genuinely do not recall vaping that evening because probably you was inebriated. And when I discussed that night events with my campaign team while confirming my enthusiasm for the musical, regardless of my belief, it's clear now that was not accurate. It was not my or my campaign intention to mislead, but we do understand the nature of how this looks. We know we will have to work to earn your trust back, and it may not happen overnight, but we will do. I'm deeply thankful to those in the third district who have defended me and reached out this week and offered grace and support. I've learned some humbling lessons these past few days, and I vow moving forward, I will make you proud. Okay, that's
with eBay Authenticity Guarantee.
And why do they got the full coverage on her acting a damn fool? Oh, that's this coverage. I mean, this is them coming out. There's no sound on this video though. She like I said, she probably was drinking. Weed don't make you act like that. Just alcohol makes you act extreme. Now, I mean, and then she apologized, but Lauren needs to like really look into her life and see what's going on, because I think it's kind of weird that you're a Republican and you're going to date a Democrat, and then you're a conservative, very conservative, and you didn't keep your marriage together. I mean, and she said her marriage is public. I think her husband is an ex-football player or something like that. This is her boyfriend though. He's an Aspen bar owner, and they've been dating for several months. He's a divorced father of a 60-year-old son. They've been secretly dating. So, I mean, that's about her. It's nothing much I could say about that, but you got a lot of stuff going on. You a grandmama, you getting a divorce. You going out drunk and getting fondled on. Like, what's going on? And you possibly got a weed problem. Like, what's going on? You addicted to drugs, the ganja. Okay, so that's enough about that. Let's go on to our next story. We're going to talk about Joe Biden real quick. Karine Jean-Pierre was asked about Joe Biden's age. Joe Biden's age. And this is what she said to the
about age.
It's great.
You've seen all the public polling, people concerned about age. How does the president plan to convince the American people over the next year that 80 is not too old for someone who's running for re-election?
80 is the new 40. Didn't you hear? Look.
Nobody laughed. Nobody laughed at that joke. They like, no, it's not.
It is. Let's. I get asked this question about once a week, maybe twice a week. I don't know. I've lost track. This is a president, if you think about it. In 2019, he got the same criticism. In 2020, he got the same criticism. In 2022, he got the same criticism. And every time, he beats the naysayers. Every time he does above and beyond and makes history in doing that.
Yeah, he makes history because he's the oldest president ever in the United States. But he makes history, but is he succeeding? Like, okay, he's the president. He's the sitting president right now. And he's the oldest. But is he actually achieving things? Is he going to go down one of the greatest presidents ever? No, he's not. He's going to go down with one of the oldest and the worst presidents ever. And then it's going to deter other people from voting people like him in. Like older people. Because I don't think if you're in your 80s, I think you could just say, hey, I've done my life's work, whatever that may be. Let me move over for the younger person. It doesn't say you can't be a mentor or whatever to that person or give guidance out. I'm not saying that. I didn't say go crawl in the corner and die, but as far as running political office, I don't think there should be a cutoff age and there should be term limits. Type in the chat if you agree with term limits in the cutoff age.
That others are not able to do, right? And I think that's really important too. You look at his record, you look at he's been able to bring both sides together to get some really important things done. That matters. If you think about what the president and the vice president was able to do in 2020, 80 million votes. 80 million votes, more than any other ticket in history.
80 million votes that you guys probably stole from mail-in ballots. That's why it's outrageous. Biden, nobody liked Biden. Maybe the black vote was good because everybody hated Trump and wanted Kamala Harris for some odd reason. But 80 million votes, yeah, that seems pretty unreal. That's why we don't believe you. That's why everybody was saying on the other side, yeah, this probably was a rigged election.
History, and they did that in 2020. And so...
and do you want that to be your biggest accomplishment? Oh, I got 80 million votes, and that's it. That's your biggest accomplishment.
You know, I get the question on age. Certainly we all do. But what we're going to continue to talk about is the record that this president has had. It's been a historic record. It is something that's going to change the lives of Americans. You think about his economic policy, you think about the infrastructure plan, you think about, I was just talking about the Inflation Reduction Act, whether it's EV, fighting climate crisis, whether it's lowering drug costs because now Medicare is able to fight big pharma. All of these things are things that president before this president have been trying to do for years and years and years and have not been able to do that. And so that's what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on how can we continue to do big things and how we're going to build on the successes that this president has had in the last 2 years.
Given all that, everything you just listed, why do you think so many Americans still say they have concerns about someone in their 80s being president?
You know, I can't speak to every American out there and their concerns. What I can speak to is what this president has done, right? I can speak.
Well, I can. When you talk or people ask the president questions and they don't get a direct, sound, understandable answer, that's where their concerns lie. When you see the president stumble up the stairs and down the stairs, that's where their concerns lie. When he's out in public giving a speech and he loses what he's talking about, that's where the concerns are. And it directly has to do with his age, because if he was of a sound mind, and I'm not saying every 80-year-old is not of a sound mind, but we clearly could see age has really deteriorated Joe Biden's brain function, that some people are thinking that he's going through dementia. When you wander off the stage, hey, you give a medal and then you just wander off the stage through the crowd. Hey, president, that's not even the way you're supposed to even go. You're not supposed to wander off in the crowd. You're supposed to go where the Secret Service, hey, get behind the stage. That's your exit point, not wander off in the crowd in the middle of the lobby. So that these are where the concerns lie. That the deteriorating brain function of Joe Biden is affecting him to do his job.
To his experience, I can speak to the wisdom that he has. I can speak to his record. When it comes to how Americans, what they're saying about your particular question to me, that's for them to speak to. I can just stay on our message, the platform that we're trying to push forward, and that is delivering for the American people. We believe that we're doing that. You just heard the president talk about BideNomics and how it's built.
BideNomics, that's not working.
Building a middle class, right, from the bottom up, middle out, and how because of the economic policies that we've seen some historic growth, right? The 3.5 million jobs, unemployment under 4%. All of these things matter, and making sure that inflation is being moderated, and that's what we've seen. So all of these things are important. I get the question, but what we're going to focus on is how we're going to continue to build on this president's record, and that's what I can speak to. All right, thanks everybody. Have a great weekend. See you.
Well, we could say the unemployment rate is going to go up. Unemployment rate is right now 3.8%. With the big three is affecting a lot of jobs. Motor companies, if you guys don't know what the big three is, we could say the unemployment rate is going to increase, because unemployment with the big three, it impacts a lot of other companies too. So if they're not manufacturing cars, they're not going to use car parts because of the UAW strike. So we know yesterday they laid off 600 people from Ford plant, and then there was another 2,000 workers from GM plant. I don't know if Stellantis has laid off any of their workers yet. But BideNomics, you're talking about EV vehicles and all that good stuff. We can't say that BideNomics is working because the affordability of electrical vehicles is not affordable. And I didn't know this, you guys. Yesterday, my husband was talking about to one of our neighbors. They have a Tesla, and he asked them, "Oh, okay, what?" He said he loved the car. He loves, how it handles. It's the best thing ever, best car ever. And this is a car guy. Matter of fact, he has a YouTube channel and he talks about cars. But he told my husband that the insurance is high as hell. He pays $4,500 for insurance. And my husband was like, well, that's not too bad. How many cars you got? Because he has a lot of cars. He was like, no, this is just on this one vehicle for a Tesla. And I guess because of whatever components is in there, or whatever, it's just a high price vehicle to insure. So who wants to pay $380 or $400 a month just for insurance? Plus, on top of that, do you want to be paying $90,000 for an electrical vehicle? Now, I know me and my husband kind of got into a debate about which came first, Tesla or because GM, they've been making Chevy Volt. And I wanted to look it up. So Tesla came out in 2008, and I think that's when Chevy Volt came out. Chevy Volt came out in 2008. They stopped making it, but it came out again. They came out in 2010. So they came out 2 years later, but they stopped making it because I guess it wasn't selling as much. And I think they're starting to, no, I guess they just discontinued it because it says back in 2022 they discontinued. But back to what I'm getting at. So you're making vehicles that nobody could afford. Nobody could afford the charging stations. Then you got to really plan your route out for particular charging stations to make sure you have availability for charging stations so you won't get stuck nowhere. It says on this that UAW cities productive talks with Ford on the second day of U.S. strike. And this was 5 hours ago. And it says they idled some of the plants for Chrysler. Negotiators for UAW and Ford Motor had reasonably productive discussions towards a new contract, the union on today, while officials at Chrysler parent Stellantis said a proposal to resume work at an idle Illinois factory has fallen through. About 12,700 workers remain on strike for the second day as a part of a coordinated labor action, targeting 3 U.S. assembly plants, one at each of the Detroit 3 automakers. And they're saying there was no sign of a breakthrough Saturday evening. UAW comment about the tenor of talks at Ford was more positive than the union's characterization of progress ahead of the kickoff of the strikes. And Jim Farley said the UAW's proposal will push the companies to bankruptcy, adding that but there was nothing going on in the negotiation. Okay, so Stellantis said the Saturday it hiked up its offer, proposing a 20% raise over 4.5-year contract term, including a immediate 10% hike that matches proposal for GM and Ford. Stellantis says talks will resume on Monday. So, but they are still significantly low on the demand because they want a 40% raise in their pay. Now, it will be interesting to see, because I'll talk about this on Monday. What are they going to pull back on next if they haven't reached an agreement? Because what this UAW president now is doing, he's strategically going for those plants that is going to impact these motor companies the most. And that's Shawn Fain. Shawn Fain, he's over the UAW. He's the president. It mentions that the automakers have said that the UAW demands could hike the current mid $60 per hour cost labor to more than $150 an hour. GM said Thursday that the UAW wage and benefits proposal would cost it $100 billion, while Farley said the 40% wage hike will put them out of business. And they really need to know that, okay, if you're saying that you want an increase in wage, that's going to a cost is incurred when your employer increase your wages, because now they do have to match federal, state, and Social Security tax that you put in. Your company also puts in for every single employer. So don't think that you just pay your federal tax, state tax, and Medicare tax. Your employer got to match what you put in. So that's what they're talking about. And a lot of people don't understand that. Now, should you feel bad about that? Well, that's the cost of doing business. But you got to understand that's what they're talking about. Okay, that $60 labor, it will now, even though you're probably getting $60, now you're increased it to $150 because it's the cost I got to pay to match your Social Security taxes and unemployment taxes and all that stuff. So, and like I said, that's the cost of doing business. Should you be like, oh, I don't want to raise because you got to pay more? No, I'm not saying that, but so you can understand where that's coming from. And then you got to look at the whole salary benefit package. You can't just look at the defined or what they're receiving out in their wages, because of course, not only do they pay in taxes, your employer match your taxes, they also have to pay for your insurance. So you won't have to pay as much. So they got this group plan. They probably pay $300 or $400 per person, while you pay $200 per person. That's what makes insurance affordable, because these group plans. So cost of doing business, then you got your matching of your 401k, and then some companies allow you to have a pension plan within that company. They put money in their stock. So eventually you can have pension when you retire. Cost of doing business, but that is included in your total salary package. Now, are they going to get what they're going to get? 40%? I really doubt that, but it sounds like Fame is really playing hardball on this. And I'm afraid that it's not going to end well for the economy if this goes too long. Because now you got other tier 2, tier 3 businesses that depend on Chrysler, Ford, and GM to make these orders. That's why you got some businesses they just make parts for GM. They're just a GM supplier. So they have one customer. And if they customer go out of business, they're out of business. So, and that's what I'm talking about. So it's going to affect a lot of companies, especially these smaller companies out here. And it'll in turn affect a lot of employment. So when I say that 3.8% might go up, because last night I looked just at Michigan economy, but actually 9.7 million jobs is fueled for automaking in the US. Almost $10 million jobs depend on auto. They're all auto workers. So that is a big impact on the economy if this thing is prolonged. Now, they're not the only automakers out there, but if we're talking about the US, there are the only US company besides Tesla. Everybody else is not part of the US, even though they might have plants or stuff here, but they're not part of the US. So we want to, I'm going to keep you guys up to date. And if you guys have anybody in the auto industry, you know, if it's really impacting you, let me know. You haven't heard a peep from the electric companies with everyone going green. No, you haven't. Because the electric companies, they're gonna win regardless. You know. My kids got the music bumping like they having a rave party. They're upstairs in their gaming room. Anyway, I got one more story to share with you guys. I meant to share this with you last night, but let me see if I can find it. Actually, probably two more stories, actually. Hold on for a second, you guys. Cannon and Chase, turn that music down. Yeah, they act like they in a rave party. Anyway. My next story Jeezy and Jeannie Mai are calling it quits. After 2 years of marriage. Let me make this larger so you guys can see. After 2 years of marriage, rapper Jeezy filed the divorce. How do you guys feel about that? When a man file a divorce, you know you into some trouble. Because usually men ain't filing a divorce. After 2 years of marriage, the Atlanta rapper filed for divorce from the TV host at the Fulton County Superior Court, according to, the Journal. And he's saying that they were already separated. And they both signed a prenuptial agreement. So in both of these, Jeannie Mai and Jeezy said they do share a 1-year-old daughter. This was a really short marriage. And they're both seeking joint custody for the child. And it says earlier this year, the proud mom appeared on Jennifer Hudson's show and explained the importance of teaching the baby girl about her heritage. I love her so much. She's so opinionated. I think the best thing is learning how to really teach how to own who she is. She's a beautiful blend of being Black and Vietnamese. And I want her to really understand what that means as powerful women today. But I don't know if you guys remember, this was a while back in 2020. I was kind of cheering them on because I feel like, hey, if a guy is proposing to you, that means he really, really loves you, because ain't no man is gonna just be like, oh, marry me. So, and then she got a lot of hate. So I was like, oh, I think they're going to work it out, so, but anyway, she revealed in the talk show that she's on that she made years ago about marrying a white man, but having some dark meat on the side, referring to Black men. She revealed Saturday on the Morning Hustle radio show while promoting the latest album, The Recession. I'm going to tell you how real she is. Before we even started dating, we had that conversation. First thing, when we really talked, she sat me down. She said, listen, it was something I said, it might have gotten taken out of context. I want you to listen to it in entirety. I did. Jeezy said in response to the question from the co-host, Laurel. And so that's saying that did he take it offense? But she was also on now during their marriage, she was really public about what goes on in the bedroom. And I think that's kind of like, okay, you don't need to tell everybody your business. She talked about how she, they was doing the do, and she passed gas while they was doing the do. And everybody was laughing, and oh, what he say, girl? Oh, he said keep going. And it's like, okay, but this is not like no random man on the street. This is your husband. So why would you share that type of information with people? And I think that's kind of odd for people to do that. So maybe he wasn't with the two, everybody up in his business. Maybe that's probably why they broke up. Or, it could have been something else. I'm not for sure. But they're calling it quits. They're calling it quits. Amari, I said the same thing too, Amari. She just wanted a baby. Well, not only just wanted a baby, she wanted a black baby. Remember that one lady I put up? She was talking about how women intentionally seek out black men because they want black babies. Like, yeah, I think she wanted a black baby, and you know how some people think it's cool to have black babies now, because you know who made it popular? Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians. They love them black men. They had all them black babies, and now they dating all these white men. They just threw the black men away. Once they got their mixed babies, they threw the black men away. But not to say it's a bad thing to want a mixed baby, but come on now. Is that all you wanted, is a baby? But peep this, you guys. She was married 10 years prior to Jeezy, and she broke up with him because she's not young. She's like in her 40s. She was married for 10 years. And the reason why they broke up, because she didn't want any babies. She split from her 10-year marriage because she didn't want to get pregnant. But then you found this black man and said, oh, I want babies now. And to me, that's like, okay, that's kind of crazy. So I don't know. I don't know why they broke up, but we do know he filed for the divorce first. And that's weird. That is weird. Well, that's a red flag when a man filed for a divorce. She got to be a piece of work. I'm just trying to see if they're even trending on Twitter. Okay, we heard from Divine Goddess before. Let's see what she got to say, because she always thinks she's talking facts.
That the two are living in a bone for Ahmadai Shakur. It looks like Jeezy has filed for divorce from Jeannie Mai. Let's get into it. This filing comes after only 2.5 years of marriage. Now, according to the filings, Jeezy says that the two are living in a bona fide state of separation and that the marriage is irretrievably broken with no hopes for reconciliation. Please pay attention. Jeezy, whose real name is Chawanne Jenkins, filed for the divorce Thursday at Fulton County Superior Court. Now, the documents and filings also say that they signed a prenup one day before the wedding. In the filings, Jeezy is also asking for shared custody of their daughter, Monaco. And at the end of the day, I'm not surprised by any of this. You know, Jeannie Mai has said some things about men of Jeezy's skin tone in the past that weren't very favorable. Please pay attention.
I did. But for me, dark meat on the side, white keeps me mean and lean. You know, that's why I married white man. That's what I like.
What do you mean, dark meat on the side? She lightweight offensive.
No, I'm not. I'm saying, like, I really do think black men are attractive. I do. Like, that's my...
Well, what do you mean, dark meat on the side?
That means, honey.
You know what that means.
Wait, what are you reading it as?
How did you say it?
I'm just saying, like, when I think about men, I like dark men. I do.
Right, you like your main man to be white and your side
No.
I absolutely agree with Tamar. That's exactly what Jeannie meant, okay? That's how she meant it. She tried to walk it back once she got the oohs and the ahs from her co-stars, but at the end of the day, that's how she meant it. And that's exactly why I didn't think this was ever going to last. In fact, I was quite surprised when Jeezy married her after having heard her say that. Maybe he didn't know it at the time, but at the end of the day, it's no shock to me. So another thing is, I think they got rid of Tamar from the show because she kept it too real. She was good at calling them out on their BS. With that all being said, a TikTok this is for entertainment purposes only.
Who cares about Tamar? I don't watch that show anyway, but I wanted to see what they were saying. And now they're saying Jeezy must have finally seen this clip. No, he said he already watched the clip.
Isn't that real? Any woman who has been divorced in that year, you have red flags if it's not going to work. I did. Isn't that real, guys? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying.
Right. And sometimes it's best to nip it in the bud.
That women's intuition, and I've said it before, like if you really...
So when did you know?
I knew a year in, for sure.
When you got married?
Yes.
Y'all were married for 10 years.
I know, because...
Wow.
And I think this is the part where I'm still having that conversation with myself. You're always going to ask, damn, why did you wait so long?
Yeah. Right.
But as a woman, and I'm proud of this trait that I have, I'm loyal as...
Right.
I really am. And when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And it's another human being who put all of his hope into trying to make it work. So you got to try. And so I'm as much as I'm proud of myself, I'm also like, you don't have to wait so long when you know what's right for you. Ding, ding, ding.
And all these ladies on this show are lonely and miserable. Let me go back to here. This lady, she's divorced. This lady, I don't even know if she's been ever married, but she was dating somebody. I think he was a scammer or something. She's the only one that's married, I think, right now. I think she got married while she was on the show, if I'm not mistaken, or she was married a little bit before that. And she sounds real selfish. That's what it sounds like. Okay, why wouldn't you know red flags before you get married? It seemed like you didn't really know them, but I think some people get married. This is what people think marriage is. They have this ceremony and they get dressed up, eat the cake, and have dance all night and have this awesome, awesome wedding. And then whatever trouble they had before the marriage, they think it would disappear. And you have this other status of, oh, I'm a wife and you're my husband. You're supposed to be doing blah, 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 blase split. And it doesn't work like that. Like it's instantly all our problems are gone. We're perfect. We're in a marriage. And we're going to like eat strawberries and we're going to be all in love and we're never going to have any problems. But you fail to realize whatever problems you had prior to you get married, they're still going to be there. That's number one. Number two, when I say people get married, they think flip the switch. They think a person, a woman, or the man will change because of this title. And they get very disappointed that this person has not changed because of this title. Because you failed to realize that the person was the person before the title is the person after the title. Why should they change their behavior? You knew their behavior. Now, if we could say some people change after, and there have been accounts where people change after. I hear some men go into a relationship and they're having all this fun, free, you know what I'm talking about, the dirty flamingo. And once they get married, the dirty flamingo stop. Well, that's called marriage abuse. You ain't supposed to get married and you stop doing the do. And some men go through that. And some women use it as a tool of like control or whatever. And then vice versa. You have men, if they're a stay-at-home wife, they have financial abuse. Use that as a control. Or they want a woman that the woman wasn't that, but you expect the woman to be that, but you married this woman. You want that woman to change, and she's not going to change. You married that woman. You know how she was. So you expected her to clean and cook, and she never did that prior. She ain't never cooked you a meal prior for y'all being in a relationship. So that's number 2. And number 3, people think it's going to be always lovey-dovey and roses. You're always going to have tipped up to the tulips. Every time I see you, I'm going to have butterflies in my stomach. And marriage is not like that. Marriage is basically a relationship that you desire, hopefully, desire to live with someone, cohabitate with someone, and build a better life with them. And I use the word, I'm getting it real basic, because you literally cohabitating with the person, and hopefully you guys' minds meet and you like the same thing. You got a friendship, because it literally has to be your friend, and you decide to go through life together. And you notice I didn't use the word love. I didn't use the word love. And the only reason why I didn't use the word love, because you're not in love with this person all the time. It's just not really possible for you to be in love with this person 100% of your marriage. And a lot of people don't understand that a marriage is work. So when you do get together, you got to evolve. You can't just say, oh, I'm just going to stay like, I'm happy. You got to evolve with each other. And that's where the breakdown comes, because you don't evolve with each other. You don't roll with the punches. And when I say evolve with each other, but you're not the same person. When you start adding kids onto stuff, people are not the same. And then you can't be selfish. You can't just say, oh, I. No, it's not just about you in the marriage, even with no kids. It's about you, the other party, or us. You can't just say I all the time. Because once you start doing that, then you just will be with yourself. Because I don't think no one's going to put themselves in a relationship or stay in a marriage or a relationship, and that person is selfish. And I don't think you should. I think you're doing yourself a disservice doing that. Anyway, that was my 2 cents about marriage. You guys let me know. I've been married for 11 years now. And like I said, me and my husband together for 13 years. And some days I felt like, shoot, if I could put a grave back in the backyard and nobody catch me, because some days I wanted to choke the life. And I'm pretty sure some days he wanted to choke the life out of me. But then I'd be like, oh, I can't think of going through life without this person, because he made me a better person. Even my children made me a better person. I mean, we just like built our relationship, and we got closer to God, closer to each other. So I can't imagine life without these people in my life. Anyway, Reese angle. I can't do liberal media. Me either. They make me sick. So that was that story. That was that story. I'm not gonna harp on that. I think people think marriage is just like something to do for some reason. And I don't know why they do that. Now, this last story I'm going to share with you before I get off, because I've been going pretty strong. Dove partners with obese activists responsible for ruining a white woman's life over a non-existence comment. I'm laughing because you know how, and this has been happening in the wake of George Floyd incident. Okay, we have people calling other parties, oh, that person is a racist. Oh, this person is a racist. Oh, you care? Look at him. Look at this person. Like even the recent incident, these kids or high school students or whatever, they were at like those Go Park bikes, the park bikes. And one of the kids said, they took the video out. They said the lady stole his bike. And the woman ended up getting fired from the job because she made a big fuss. Like, no, I just undocked the bike and I paid for it. And coming to find out, this lady got fired, got fired from her job. She was pregnant. And coming to find out, she actually did dock the bike. She paid for the bike. He docked it. She went to the bike and undocked it, paid for it, undocked it. And I guess they wanted to use it again. So they started arguing with the lady and saying, oh, you're being a racist. And then the lady got fired. So this Dove partners with obese activists responsible for ruining a white woman's life over a non-existent comment. And she actually admit this. Now, this is her.
Is Dove going to be Bud Light? You know Dove soaps? Dove soaps are very popular. Dove soaps are what I wash my ace with. Dove soaps got this big old gal, a Black Lives Matter activist that destroyed someone's career because she falsely accused another woman of being a racist, and it turned out she completely, totally lied about it. Totally lied. Let's hear what happened.
My belief is that we should be centering the voices and experiences of the most marginalized people and communities at all times. So when I think about what fat liberation looks like to me, it looks like centering the voices and the...
Did you hear that? When I think about fat liberation, do you need to be liberated? It sounds like you already liberated with food. Like, really?
experiences of those who live in and who maneuver through spaces and institutions in a fat body. It looks like making accessible spaces and having conversations that are aware of the fact that people have different bodies and that they are interacting with space and people and institutions and communities in a different way. Fat liberation looks like fully embracing those differences and having those conversations instead of shying away from them. To learn more about fat liberation and the campaign for size freedom that Dove is supporting, visit dove.com/size freedom. Tap in, join the campaign, support the campaign. This is important and we should all be talking about it.
Oh, shut the hell up. Shut up. You're fat and you're lazy and you're a racist. Let's just go that route with you. Just shut the living hell up. There's nothing about that woman that's interesting other than she's a fat ass that won't get on a treadmill. And now Dove Soap has gone with this racist woman to lead them. Screw Dove Soap. Fat liberation, my big fat ass. That's what I got to say. My big fat ass.
Wow. This guy, Outkick, he's mean. So he's talking about fat people. Too fat for prison. Oh my goodness. What the hell? So Dove has made a bizarre, strange decision to partner with this obese Zina Bryant, or Zana Bryant. I guess that's what her name is. And Bryant is infamous for ruining a reputation of a UVA student, Morgan Bittinger, in 2020. She alleged she heard her threaten BLM protesters. Specifically, she claimed Bittinger said the protesters will make good speed bumps, according to Daily Mail. And the BLM activist accusation about Bettinger's threatening protests spread like wildfire. She faced threats as people surrounded her vehicle and her name was dragged through the mud. However, UAV's Office for Equal Opportunity and Civil Rights eventually determined it was more likely than not that Brian hadn't heard Bettingers make any threatening comments about BLM protesters. However, the damage was done. Bettinger's life was ruined by what appeared to almost certainly be a complete lie. Bryant even admitted she might have misheard what she said. And you know what they awarded her with? A Dove partnership. So they're saying instead of Bryant's disappearing into a cave after a disgraceful and embarrassing action against an innocent woman, she decided to turn into fat liberation activist. And the obese woman now has to deal with Dove. Fat liberation is something we should all be talking about. That's why I'm partnering with Dove to support the work of, Flair for Justice, a campaign for size for freedom. She also demanded that we all have to make spaces for we don't. We don't have to make spaces for obese people. Be aware of the fact that people have different bodies. Yeah, we are aware of the fact, but we don't have to make spaces for you. Now, are you handicapped? We have to do that. That's against the law, but you're not handicapped. Yeah, I'm pretty sure anyone with eyes is aware of Zina or Zana. And this is her. So I guess it's okay for you to make accusations about people, and as long as you Black, you could get away with it, and then you could get partnerships for being, a plus size person. Some people comment being fat is a choice, lower your caloric intake and move, or don't, and just be a fat slob spilling into my middle seat on the plane. I assume she will be endorsing Dove chocolate and not the soap. So, I mean, that's that. I mean, you can't, I don't know what to say about that. She sounds so confident in herself being fat, but you want people to make spaces for you, but you're not willing to make spaces for other people. I mean, to me, that's insane. And I don't agree with that nonsense. You can't just say somebody said something, and she probably got kicked out of school and everything for saying that kind of stuff. Because everybody was a racist. You got to believe this person because she's Black.
My belief is that we should be centering the voices and experiences of the most marginalized people and communities at all times.
So she said, my belief is that we should be centering in the voices of experiences of the most marginalized people in communities at all times. No, we don't want to hear you whine all the time. Oh, you guys need to make spaces for me. No, you need to get up and move. We don't need to make space for you. Oh, woe is me, I'm Black. Okay, I am too. Like, you want to hear woe is me all the time?
So when I think about what fat liberation looks like to me, it looks like centering the voices and the experiences of those who live in and who maneuver through spaces and institutions in a fat body. It looks
like, you know, when I used to say this all the time, when people use all these words and don't even say nothing. That's what I get from her. You using all these words, but you ain't talking about nothing.
It's like making accessible spaces and having conversations that are aware.
You want accessibility, but you're not willing to do the work to become accessible. That doesn't make any sense.
Of the fact that people have different bodies and that
you are correct. People have different bodies, but is this by choice? I think it is. Because you can have a slim body or even not so plump body if you don't eat as much and move around. That's what helps you. Like the guy said, that's not my words. He said, lower your caloric intake and move around, and you'll end up being a healthy weight. But this is not healthy. She's not healthy, and she's young, so you know she's not healthy, and she's probably going to have a whole bunch of heart problems, diabetes, if she doesn't already have them.
They are interacting with space and people and institutions.
And she keep on using the word space. You're like, why do you keep on using that word? And institutions. Who uses space and institutions to describe walking around in the world as we call the world today? Who used that? Nobody uses those words. Am I being mean, you guys? Let me know.
In communities in a different way. Fat liberation looks like fully embracing those differences and having those conversations.
That's what your fat liberation. You want somebody to like, oh girl, I'm proud of you. You fat and you're beautiful. No, somebody you mad that you don't go to the doctor and they don't tell you you're a healthy weight. Because it's not going to happen. Or you're mad that people are not going to accept you because this is not the standard of beauty. And just because there's a certain standard of beauty, you're not going to change people's mind on that.
Conversations instead of shying away from them. To learn more about.
Nobody wants to have a conversation of why you eat so much. Who cares? That's on you. If you want to get a health, if you want to be healthier, start eating correctly and exercise.
Fat liberation and the campaign for size freedom that Dove is supporting. Visit dove.com/size freedom. Tap in, join the campaign, support the campaign. This is important and we should all be talking about it.
No, we shouldn't all be talking about fat people. No. It's always black folks trying to normalize some deviant shit. Like, no, that's not normal. For you to be that large, you probably like 19, 20. And you huge. That's not normal. Anyway. Robert Jordan, she might have a good grasp of English language, but not a good grasp of making healthy choices. These people need to stay from making it. Yeah, I think that's what that is. But I don't know if Dove is going to make the same mistake as, is this cancelable? Cancelable. Is that a word? I'm not for sure. I don't know if they'll get canceled about that, because they need to get more in depth of that Brittinger girl. If somebody come out, maybe I'll look her up to see what actually happened. Since they doxed her, did she actually get kicked out? Her name is Morgan Bittinger. But yeah, I'll see what happened with her. Anyway, you guys, thank you for tuning in once again. Thank you for rocking with me for what? I've been online for about 3 hours now. 3 hours. Thank you for rocking with me. We covered a lot of stuff today. You guys want to remember, like, subscribe, and share this channel. You also want to comment on this video. Tomorrow, I'll be online about 5 o'clock. So just keep a lookout on that. I'm not for sure what I'm going to talk about, but we'll talk about something. Okay, so you guys have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.